You know, it's pretty amazing to think that in just over 10 years, Tesla has gone from making no cars whatsoever to completely changing the way we think about transportation. From propulsion to design to electric infrastructure, these revolutionary cars are quite different than anything else on the road. And that got me thinking, these cars are so unique, what vehicle is the absolute polar opposite extreme to a new Tesla? Now, I spent a long time racking my brain on this one, and then I decided to look in my garage. This is my 1982 Mercedes-Benz 300 diesel. Ah yes, diesel, the devil juice for any electric vehicle fan. And Elon Musk, let me tell you what, you have met your match with this car. Well, okay, sort of. This is actually our second Tesla, and both our Model 3 and this Model X are sleek, modern, and aerodynamic. The Mercedes here is a little bit less sleek and a little bit more boxy. In fact, you at home can make a perfect replica of this old 300D. All you need to follow along at home is a couple of cardboard boxes, some toilet paper roll wheels, and bam, you've got a perfect scale model of a 300D. Now, no need to adjust your computers. This is not, in fact, the actual car, although it is very similar looking. Teslas, they're just downright cool. Jay-Z, Matt Damon, Zooey Deschanel all reportedly own Teslas. That's right, Jason Bourne and the girl from Elf both apparently own Teslas. The 300D is a little bit less cool. I mean, I think it's very cool, but let's be honest, that's more of an insult than a compliment. New Teslas are quick as heck. With instant electric torque, both of ours could easily accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 5 seconds.
Oh my God! That's crazy!
Although this Benz really doesn't look like much, this particular one was the very highest performance version you could buy in 1982. And that's because this one is no ordinary 1982 Mercedes. Oh no. This one has turbocharged diesel power. Naturally, if I'm going to be doing any kind of performance testing with such a powerful beast, I am going to have to take some safety measures.
Okay, here we go. 0 to 60 mile per hour test in the turbo diesel. I'm gonna floor it in 3, 2, 1. Oh, no, not fast. Oh, geez. And 60 kilometers an hour. Don't explode. There's 55 miles an hour there, and 60. Almost as quick as a Tesla. No, it's not. 12.2 from 0 to 60, so not quite new Tesla's territory.
This car is currently running and ready to drive right now, and it's so quiet you would have no idea. Ah yes, finally, something the classy and sophisticated Mercedes may finally win. Let's start her up. Alright, I got my decibel meter here. It's reading just 83 decibels. Now for reference, that's about as loud as a snowblower on full tilt. That's a little bit louder than the Tesla. One of the big selling points for many is that cruising down the road like I am doing right now, I am creating no tailpipe emissions whatsoever. Because there is no tailpipe, this car is fully electric. Because the Tesla makes no tailpipe emissions, I can actually sit behind the car while it's running and enjoy a zesty beverage while soaking in the sights and sounds of nature. It is actually possible to enjoy nature behind a running diesel Mercedes as well. However, the Tesla is a technological tour de force. I have two ginormous screens in here that control everything in the entire car. There are no buttons to be found. The Mercedes here has no screens whatsoever, but it does have an analog clock. Not that I know what time it is, because I am a millennial after all, and us millennials have no idea what an analog clock is or how to use it. Might as well put the Rosetta Stone up on the dash for all that's worth. In the Tesla, I can push a button, talk to the car, and adjust the heater controls without ever taking my hands off the steering wheel. Set heat to 70 degrees. Unbelievable. Magic. The Mercedes also has a heater, but there's no magical voice commands. It uses old school buttons and dials. I will say though, the buttons on the heater do a phenomenal job of imitating a whack-a-mole game. The Tesla here has these secret modes hidden throughout the interior called Easter eggs, and in fact one of them will actually play fart sounds through the speakers, which is guaranteed to make everybody in the car burst out laughing. Now this is one area where the Mercedes could actually beat the Tesla, because even though it won't play fart noises through its speakers, bring Nathan in here, feed him a can of old school black beans, and wait an hour or two, and I can guarantee you're going to be getting some fart noises and some additional aromas to add to the experience. There you have it, the 1980s Mercedes diesel. It's slower than a Tesla, much louder than a Tesla, and has much fewer features than a brand new Tesla, so it must be worse. The opposite, but worse. Well, what a waste of a video. Oh yeah, except it isn't. In fact, it does a lot of things much better. Alright, I'll give you another example. I am lined up here at a stoplight next to a Toyota Camry. Not a particularly sporty vehicle. I'm not gonna try to get this other driver to race me, but when the light turns green, I'm gonna put the pedal to the metal. And let's see if I can keep up with the previous generation Camry. Green. Oh, I'm beating him. I'm beating him. Come on, Mercedes, go! And shift. In a second, I'm keeping up with the Camry. Oh, yeah, there goes the turbo into third. Oh, that was impressive. This car is as quick as a Toyota Camry LE that's not racing you. And here's the thing, you can have 100 horsepower or 1,000, but the fastest you can legally drive in Colorado is 75 miles an hour, which is what I'm doing right now. So, frankly, this car is fast enough. I mean, it's doing 75. It doesn't feel like it's going to explode. It doesn't feel like the wheels are going to fall off. It's fine. Will it do 76? I don't know, maybe, but that would be illegal. Now, while both of our Teslas have been very rad, neither have been particularly well assembled, and one way you can tell is actually the gaps in between the various panels. Now, you want them thin and very consistent. On the Tesla, they're less of gaps and more of canyons, if I'm being honest. In some cases, I can even fit my entire fingers in between some of the variations. And if you look down the side, nothing really lines up. Some parts stick up above other parts. It's not very precise. This Mercedes is 38 years older than our Tesla. It costs $6,500 versus $84,000. And frankly, it is much better assembled. All the panel gaps are small, they're tight, and they are very consistent. Compared to either our Model 3 or our Model X, this is just so much better made. Now the doors here on the Tesla do actually self-open and even self-close. That's pretty cool, but if you look closely, the door handles don't line up and the close feeling certainly isn't all that satisfying. The New York Philharmonic, the London Symphony are very talented, and let me tell you what, they produce some incredible sounds, but none are as incredible as the sound a 1980s Mercedes makes when you close the door. Are you ready? Are you ready? Brace yourself. It's amazing. There is no other car. I don't care what you drive. It could be a $3 million Bugatti. It doesn't do that. That is the sound of absolute quality and perfection right there. If you take a look around this car, you'll see several stickers and plaques saying it was assembled in West Germany. And West is good. In fact, another famous West once said this car, quote unquote, come up in the spot looking fly. Now, I'm not quite sure what Kanye meant when he said that, because that's cool hip music and something that I would never listen to because I'm neither cool nor hip, but I suppose both of these Wests do have something in common.
And then we get to the topic of longevity. Now, I recently had an amazing opportunity to visit the beautiful country of Morocco, and you see a surprising number of these, they're called W123 Mercedes, absolutely everywhere. And then you realize they're actually taxi cabs, which is odd for a number of reasons. Now, first of all, the very last one of these would have rolled off the assembly line in 85, maybe 1986, okay? So they're getting pretty old. Imagine if someone picked you up at the airport in a 1985 Ford LTD here in the US. That would be pretty strange. Well, in Morocco, this is still, even in 2020, 2019, the taxi of choice. And that brings us to the craziest part about these cars, because you start asking the taxi drivers, how many kilometers do you have on that old Mercedes? You might expect to hear 100,000, 200,000 kilometers. No. They measure kilometers on these cars in the millions. 1 million, 2 million, 3 million kilometers. That is actually not all that uncommon. In fact, there was a taxi cab driver in Greece that drove a slightly older version of this over 4.4 million kilometers. This is the automotive equivalent of a cockroach. They will not die. Think about that. A taxi cab in Morocco is not a car that's used on the weekends by little old ladies driving to church. These are cars that are used on rough, broken, cobble roads, day in and day out.
The 300D was engineered to be serviced by its owner. Everything is fixable, everything is tunable and adjustable, and you can take off little pieces and fix them and repair them and make them better. In fact, even the owner's manual tells you how to do things such as service the vehicle, change the headlight bulbs. It's all built into the DNA of this car. If, for example, a taillight or brake light burns out, you pop the trunk, there are 2 knobs you unscrew, $3 a new bulb, and 4 minutes later you're back on the road, everything working like it should. It is super easy to fix. Same thing if you get a flat. This car has a full-size spare tire, a jack, and all the tools you need to fix it yourself. The Tesla doesn't even have a spare tire. And then it comes to servicing yourself, because the Mercedes actually has a hidden first aid kit in the rear just in case there's an emergency. What about tail lights and brake lights? What if you have a failure of one of the LEDs or condensation in the units? How can you fix that? Well, you have to replace the entire thing. There's no bulb you can pull out and slap a new one in, and I checked the owner's manual and there is no user serviceability back here really whatsoever. So I went online and I looked at the price of a new Model 3 tail light, because that's the most popular vehicle they sell. First of all, you can't buy it through Tesla unless you're a certified body shop, so you have to buy it used, and used, both of them will cost you a couple $100. So if you do have an LED failure of a brake light, not that it's going to happen, but if you do, it's going to be expensive to fix.
Let's talk about safety, because that is an important consideration when purchasing a car. And the Tesla is very safe. It's chocked full of airbags. Everywhere you look, there's an airbag. It's got great crumple zones. It's got a very strong structure. In fact, when they crash tested this car, this was, I think, the only SUV they couldn't get to roll over during the rollover test.
The Mercedes was very safe for 1982. However, by 2020 standards, not so much. The Tesla is far safer. It's got like 1,000 airbags compared to 0 in the 300D. Now that's to be expected. However, there is one area of safety where the Mercedes is better, and that is safety in regards to bodywork. Because back in the 80s and 70s, these cars were fitted with these ginormous bumpers. They are huge blocks of steel and rubber, and they were designed to be crashed into things at up to 5 or in some cases 10 miles an hour without damaging the car itself. So I had that famous incident where I backed the Tesla into a wall and I got roasted about it online, and I know it was my fault. I feel really terrible about it. However, there is a part of me that wonders if I had had the same accident in the 300D, maybe it wouldn't have cost like $7 grand in 4 months of time because the bumper would have absorbed the impact. Something to keep in mind.
Let's talk about autonomy for a second. The 300D, there is none of it. There is no autonomy whatsoever. And frankly, I love that because really, I mean, myself, like I think so many of us out there, are addicted to our phones, to our computers, to the internet. And stepping in a car like this, you have to focus on driving. You know, you have to focus on the huge steering wheel and the crisp gear changes and the way it moves around in the turns. I have no doubt that in the future, the autonomous systems are probably going to be safer than any driver could ever be. And I understand that, but right now in 2020, after experiencing both of our Teslas on autopilots, I wouldn't trust a single one of those for 10 minutes hand-free on the highway. The thing is still kind of a mess. It takes off-ramps for no reason. One time, actually 2 times, it went into full emergency braking at an overpass on a freeway because it saw a shadow. Quite honestly, how hard is this? Right? The people that are like, driving is such a pain in the butt, I hate it. What? I get to operate my own vehicle, listen to my own music, and just enjoy the scenery. I don't ever feel like I want this car to drive me anywhere. I don't really feel like I want any car to drive me anywhere at all. So this, in my opinion, is ideal. Now, I know this car pollutes, and I do feel bad about that. I do really care for the environment, and I hope that future generations will be able to enjoy the outdoors in the way that we have it today. So what I've done with this car is I've had it tuned, and I've had the engine looked at carefully to make sure that it's running as efficient as possible, but even still, it does pollute. It does smoke a little bit, I understand that. But here's how I justify it. During the week, I carpool to work. I try to take, sustainable means to go about my daily life, and then on the weekend, when I'm free and have some time, that's when I'll take this car out and really enjoy it. Reduce, reuse, recycle, right? That's always been the recycling motto. And with a car like this, you're reducing, because if you buy a used Mercedes, you're not sucking up all that material for a new car. Reuse, these old diesels can actually be converted to run on biodiesel or used veggie oil. So simply go to your local McDonald's or whatever, suck up their veggie oil, filter it, and run it in this car as it is, and recycle. For example, I just put in a new climate control unit in this car. It wasn't a brand new climate control unit, it was used out of another car. And the one I took out of this car wasn't even thrown away. That will be returned, the company will fix it up, and then that will be sent off to another Mercedes. So I know, it's probably stupid logic. Of course a Tesla's gonna be better for the environment, but in my mind, that's how I somewhat justify driving this car around on the weekends, even with the smoke that comes out the back.
Which one would I rather have, the old Mercedes or the new Tesla? Well, let's be honest guys, I'm a young, tech-savvy, future-excited millennial Gen Zer. I'm always looking forward. I'm really excited about what the future should hold, so the choice for me is obvious. Nope, you guessed wrong. It's the 82 Mercedes. That's the one I would have. An old Mercedes is like a really old Labrador Retriever. Sure, there are more flashy dogs, there are faster dogs, there are dogs that are hypoallergenic, dogs that won't pee in your house because of their age, but I don't know. This Mercedes will always be here by my side, chugging along at 35 miles an hour. I can always rely on it to be there when I need it, and it will always start, and that's why I love it. Newer is great. I love what Tesla has done. I understand why Tesla has so many fan guys and gals, but for me, I think we're gonna go clattering into the sunset. See you guys next time.